Good morning, Knicks Nation. Today is Wednesday. It is the 7th of July, 2021. I hope you're healthy today. I hope you're safe. I hope you are COVID free and disease free, and your family and your household as well. I hope your household is getting all their needs met in terms of food, shelter, clothing, and good health. Blessings upon those that work in the healthcare field trying to save lives, and those that pick up garbage for us, keep our places clean, and those that make deliveries for us for our convenience. Double blessings on those trying to deliver victims of sexual abuse, boys and girls, often babies sometimes, teenagers, men and women, from human trafficking, sex slave operations going on a worldwide basis, and from those that are being privately tortured in their own homes. Finally, blessings upon those that are trying to help the homeless. 600,000 people in the United States, millions around the world that are living in tents, on sidewalks, in parks, in cars, and it goes on and on. Blessings upon those trying to help this situation, and double blessings also on the people themselves, for theirs is the kingdom. Today, we're back in our draft mode a little bit, trying to scout out players that the New York Knicks might pick. And today we're talking about Sharife Cooper. Now, I was not as high on Sharife Cooper as some of the other guards in the draft. Not that I don't think Sharife Cooper can play in the NBA. First of all, I am always rooting for guys like Sharife Cooper to succeed in the NBA. It not only, of course, changes their lives, helps their families as well. So I would love to see this young man fulfill his NBA dream. That being said, there are a number. This is a draft that's loaded with point guards. And again, I just want to stress to y'all, the New York Knicks are trying to find minutes for Obi Toppin. He's a 4. We have an all-NBA 4 in Julius Randle. We do not need 4s. We have a talented center in Mitchell Robinson. And some of you have already forgotten the tremendous defensive presence Noel provided for us this past season. And some of the blocks he did were all on another level. And so if we can keep Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson, we are set at the 5. There are other teams that might need 5s, like Portland, but we are not one of them. We don't need a 5. We don't need a 4. What helps you win championships are wings. We're talking about developing a long-term sustainable winner in New York. You have to get wings. We got one in R.J. Barrett, but we need more. We need more wings. We were hoping Kevin Knox might be that. He has not developed into it as yet. This draft is stacked with really good wings. Duarte, Murphy, Moody. There's a lot of good wings in this draft. Okay, some people like CRISPR, you could add him to the mix as well. Of course, there's Jalen Green. There's a lot of good wings in this draft. We need wings, and we need a point guard. Okay, and so, of course, there's a lot of point guards in the draft. Today, we're going to highlight Sharife Cooper, and I'm trying to be balanced, fair and balanced for Sharife Cooper. So let's start with the positives of Sharife Cooper. Sharife Cooper has a handle and quickness on the Allen Iverson level. Every person, any NBA player that's being drafted, when scouts are looking at an NBA player, they're looking at a lot of things, not just one thing, obviously. But one thing that most scouts, or I should say all scouts, of the many things you're going to look at, one thing you're going to look at is, what is it about this player that pops out? What is his skill, his talent, his strength that caused you to say, okay, we got to take a little look at this, because this particular talent or skill or strength is on an elite level. So, for example, if a guy's a tremendous shooter, like last year we talked about Desmond Bane, I'm just using him as an example. He ended up playing for the Memphis Grizzlies and having a pretty good rookie season. And he was a tremendous shooter. When you see Desmond Bane play at TCU, you were seeing, if you didn't catch anything else, you knew the guy could shoot the rock. Okay. Neesmith, that Boston pick, we talked about him last year. Another guy, tremendous shooter. You can see that. Isaac Okoro, defense, right? You saw the explosion of his movements and his defensive prowess at Auburn. And so that's what caught your eye. There was an energy, a power, an explosion with his movement that you saw, wow, this guy could do this on the NBA. He's got that type of elite level on the defensive end. Well, with Sharife Cooper, it's ball handling and quickness. Clyde Frazier would say he has feline quickness. His quickness and ball handling are elite. There's no question. He can get to the basket against anybody in the world anytime he wants. That's how quick and elite he is at that. There have been players in the NBA, obviously, like that. His stat line, as I look at his college stat line, I'm trying to compare it to a pros, and I'm going to tell y'all, he reminds me a lot of Muggsy Bogues. He reminds me a lot. Now, Muggsy Bogues is only 5'3". Sharife Cooper's way taller than him, right? Sharife Cooper's like 6 foot, between 6 foot, 6'1". But his game, his style, his speed, his quickness, his toughness reminds me a lot of Muggsy Bogues. And it's interesting because Muggsy Bogues was born and raised in Baltimore, grew up tough, in one of these geopolitically created neighborhoods to destroy us, but he survived and made it well. Well, Sharife Cooper, he's from Atlanta, but he was born in Newark, New Jersey, okay, and came to Atlanta later. So they are very similar in that regard. Now, I will say, if Sharife Cooper has a career like Muggsy Bogues, it would be a very successful, because Muggsy Bogues played a long time at a high level, even at 5'3". I mean, he was a tremendous player, right? And he also reminds me a lot of Calvin Murphy, but he can't shoot like Calvin Murphy right now. Calvin Murphy can shoot the rock, okay? Calvin Murphy averaged 40-something a game in college. But Sharife Cooper's quickness and ball handling are on an Allen Iverson, Muggsy Bogues, Calvin Murphy elite level. He could really, that he got, okay? So that's a positive. He has very good floor game, obviously. When you're small, you got to have that, and he has that. He has an excellent floor game. He can see the floor very well. He sets up his teammates very well, and that's borne out in the stats as he averaged 8 assists a game at Auburn in his lone year there. Okay, so he can see the floor. He gets to the basket at will. You can double him. You're not going to stop him from getting into the paint, and that's a tremendous strength. Now, one of the things I believe is in my estimation, and this is just me, but when I watch great coaches, and I've seen a lot of them, and I was fortunate to have been coached by one when I was a young boy, but watching great coaches, one of the things I notice about great coaches is, and I think I mentioned this before, they put the talent that they have on the roster that they have in the best position to succeed. Okay, so you put them in the proper positions. So in other words, you try to play to the strengths of what you have on your roster, what you're playing with. Okay, and you try to incorporate your own philosophy in it if you can, but you really want to play to the player's strengths. So, for example, let's look at Julius Randle. Under David Fizdale tried to make Julius Randle into a point forward, and obviously that failed. That played to the worst parts of Julius's game. Okay, put him in a bad position. Julius took on the role because he was trying to be the man, but it wasn't for him to do that. Whereas under Tom Thibodeau, he was more of the pinch post guy in the triangle offense. He would bring the ball up at times, but he was really setting up at the foul line extended most of the time and able to do work there, whether he was going to pass, shoot, or whatever he's going to do. So he put him in a better position to succeed. Well, great coaches do that. They try to put their players in the best and to play to their strengths. So if you, in Sharife Cooper's case, you definitely want to put him in a position where you're going to utilize his quickness, his speed, his court vision to get downhill. And you want to have, so basically what I'm saying, you're going to have some shooters around him. If you got some shooters around him, he's going to be dangerous. Look at Trae Young again in Atlanta. Trae Young is surrounded by Kevin Huerter, Bogdan Bogdanovic, DeAndre Hunter, Danilo Gallinari, and the list goes on. So you surround him with shooters, and then he becomes really dangerous because he's going to be, you're going to need 2 people to guard him to stop him from getting in the lane. Okay? Now, the problems. Sharife Cooper turns the ball over a lot. Okay, he turns the ball over a lot. He averaged 4 turnovers a game, which when you have 8 assists, 4 turnovers, that's the ratio you want, 2-1. But I was looking at, some of his games. I was just going down the list of the games he played, and there were games where he had 6 turnovers and 5 turnovers. He had a multiple times 6 turnover games. That's problem number one. On the NBA level, that's not going to get any better. Yeah, he's going to really have to work on that because the players are faster, they react quicker, and the turnovers, they know what you're trying to do, and it's a different situation in the NBA. Not saying it would stop, he would not be able to overcome it, but that's something he's going to definitely have to work on. His shooting percentage for a guy that really needs to finish at the basket because he doesn't shoot the ball very well. His field goal percentage from the field at Auburn was 39%. Now that's troublesome. Okay. You want to see at least in the mid 40s, like 45, for a guy like that. And of course, he only shoots 23% from the 3-point line. 23%. And that's on 5 attempts a game. Okay. So these are very troublesome areas. Now, let's go back to positive for a second. He did shoot 83% from the foul line. He shoot 83% of the foul line and almost 9 attempts a game. That's really good. That means pretty much he's shooting almost 9 out of 10, from the foul line. That on a consistent basis. That's excellent. That bodes well in a couple of reasons. Number one, if they foul him, he's going to hit the shot, right? But number two, there's a strong possibility, very high probability, that he could develop a good jump shot, a good 3-point shot, particularly in the NBA. Okay. I watched his pro day workout and I compared it to Trae Young. These are really different players. Sharife doesn't have, Trae Young is not as explosive, and he's explosive now. Trae Young gets to the hole at will, but Trae Young has the threat of his long range shooting to help him. So that, a guy that's guarding him has to respect the fact that he can shoot any place over half court. And so that respect allows him to use his quickness to explode to the basket and get to the basket almost at will. Sharife Cooper would not have that respect coming into the league. They would dare him to shoot like they did with Ben Simmons. They would dare him to shoot. Okay. Now that's not going to stop him from being effective because of the eliteness of his quickness. You could back up off him and he'll still get to the hole. Okay. That's how quick he is. All right. So there's positives and negatives about him. So let's go again on the positive. He could be a star in the NBA if he develops a jump shot. He develops a floater. Okay. And he controls the ball and he keeps his turnover to assist ratio in the 2-1 that we're dealing with now. I'd like to, 2-1. And I'm not going to harp too much on that because I think all great point guards, when they come into the NBA, they do make turnover. It's not unusual to see a point guard, especially somebody that handles the ball as much as he do, to have a lot of turnovers. But I just, what you don't want is the Julius Randle syndrome of making the turnover in a big moment when you need a basket, right? That's what you don't want. So he averaged 20 a game at Auburn, but what most people are looking at that don't see is he took 15 shots a game. He took a lot of shots. Okay. There were games where he took 19 shots, 17 shots, 23 shots. One game he was 6 for 23, and that was against Kentucky. So, I mean, he takes a lot of shots. If he's playing now, he's going to have the ball in his hand, so he could take a lot of shots, but he's got to hit a higher percentage. He's got to do more than 39% from the field. Otherwise he's just going to be a gunner. All right. So you got to be able to score on a more efficient level. So I believe he will be able to develop a 3-point shot. I mean, they're going, if Rajon Rondo, did you see Rajon Rondo hitting them threes in the playoffs this year? I mean, if Rajon Rondo, who had no shot at all, coming out of Kentucky when he played for Boston, and, they won the chip with him, but they did have Ray Allen and Paul Pierce around him. Okay. Shooters, right? So you got to have that with Sharife, especially in his rookie year. With the Knicks, if they're going to draft this kid, they better make sure they have shooters around him. Okay. This is where we really want to make sure we pick up some shooters, not in the draft. I'm not talking about rookies. y'all got to remember, Tom Thibodeau ain't playing no rookies. But talking about like the second year of IQ and improve RJ Barrett, if we can get a Norman Powell, right? And this is a situation where if we drafted a Sharife Cooper, you definitely want to sign Kyle Lowry. You definitely want to sign Kyle Lowry. You want to give Sharife Cooper the 2 seasons he's going to need to fix these things we're talking about. He's going to need to develop a jump shot. He's going to need to be more efficient with the ball offensively. Defensively, from what I saw, what I liked about Sharife defensively, obviously he's small. And so that's always going to be an issue. His size defensively is always going to be an issue. But I will say this. He gives effort. It's not like some of y'all like this cat. What's this guy's name, man? Cam something. What's his boy name? Cam. Y'all, some of y'all high on this boy, Cam. Oh God, what the hell is his name? I'm going to tell you right now. Some of y'all high on Cameron Thomas. I do not like Cameron Thomas. I can't stand somebody that just gives no effort on defense. I'm sorry. I don't care if he shoots the lights out like Jerry West. If he don't play no defense, please keep stepping. This is New York Knicks, y'all. Now, Sharife Cooper, he gives strong effort on defense. He does. And he got some slick hands too. I mean, he really does. He got some slick hands. And so, I like that. He tries. And he got slick hands. He could create some steals. Matter of fact, let me take a look and see how many steals did he get a game. He got 1 steal a game. So, per 36 minutes, 1.1, 1 steal a game. But he has some really slick hands, man. I like him. And he pushed and he really tries. And that's why he reminds me of Muggsy Bogues, because Muggsy Bogues, if you all remember now, Muggsy Bogues was 80s into the 90s. Most of his career was in the 90s. And the longest stretch of his career was with Charlotte. He played with Toronto for a while too. But Muggsy can pick up dudes 94 feet. He was so quick, he would be a pest for 94 feet. You were not quick enough to get past him or stay past him if you did. See? So I can see Sharife being that type of guy. Picking up somebody 94 feet, using that speed and quickness to just be a total menace. You know what I'm saying? I love that. So that's why I ain't gonna front. If the Knicks picked him, I ain't gonna cry about it. But, and his weaknesses, his flaws can be fixed. He can develop a jump shot. I saw his pro day. He has the mechanics and he obviously hits 83% from the line. So he can develop a jump shot. I'm not worried about that too much. My biggest concern with him, though, is efficiency. I would like to see him shoot better from the field than 39%. And I believe, now here's the big one, offensively. If Sharife Cooper, now we talked about the jump shot, and I think give him 2 seasons, he's going to get a decent jump shot. I think he is. But don't let Sharife Cooper give us a floater game, like an IQ type floater game. Lights out. We got Trae Young then. No, we got Trae Young at that point. Okay. If this kid, now he don't have one right now. That's what I'm saying. He don't really have one. He has to develop that. But if he does, if he develops a floater game so that he has a consistent floater in the lane, forget it. I mean, really, forget it. Okay. Yeah, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm privy. I am prejudiced towards bigger point guards. Like I like Trey Mann at 6'5". I like Ayu Dosunmu at 6'5". I like Jaden Springer at 6'4". I like Frank Ntilikina at 6'5", 6. I like the bigger dudes because I want two-way players that can lock down, that's big enough to guard and play multiple positions. Okay. That's my thing. And I think there's some coaches, including Thibs, that like that as well. That's why I like bigger guards, because you can use them to guard 1s, 2s, 3s. And if they're really good, they can guard 4s. Right. And if you could get a guy that's like that, teams can't switch and create mismatches on you. You know what I mean? But With Sharife, they're going to do that. They're going to try to switch to create mismatches, right? But you can help. You can get some help defense, and Tom will be good at that. And if Sharife does, like I think he's going to do, he's a fighter. He's not going to just let you dog him like that, right? So he's not going to go out like that. He's going to be battling down there. Sometimes people get the illusion that you could just shoot over a younger dude, a smaller dude, but it's not always that easy. I mean, Kyle Lowry has made a career of people trying to post him up and not being successful. Really, if you look at him, that's one of the strengths. He's a really good defender because people think they could just post him up. And he's too strong, number one, and it ain't that easy, number two, right? I think Sharife could develop into that. It's going to take some time, though. But the speed, the things that he brings to the table, the speed, the quickness, you can't teach that. The level of speed and quickness this kid has, you can't teach it. I mean, it's just, that's like, Allen Iverson. You just either you got that or you don't, and he got that. Speed and quickness you can't teach, right? So overall, I would not mind if the Knicks drafted Sharife Cooper. We could do a lot worse than Sharife Cooper. He's not the first guy I would look at. I still like Jared Butler. I still like Trey Mann as point guards. I still like these guys better because both of them can shoot the rock already. They're bigger. They can guard. At least they can be. At least in Butler's case, he can learn to guard multiple positions. He's 6'3", but he's strong, man. And Trey Mann. And if they wanted to really build for the future, I like Jaden Springer because Jaden Springer is 6'4", 205. He's a strong kid, man. And he can already got the all of the talent there to do it all. So I like guys like that. But again, I'm not gonna cry if they drafted Sharife Cooper. I think he would help us. I really think he would help the Knicks. He's going to, like I say, he's going to need some development. He's going to need some time. You're going to have to work with him. But like I said, you can't teach 7 feet tall, and you can't teach lightning quick speed and the way this kid's got it. You can't, either you got that or you don't, and he got it. So there's a shot for him. Depends on what the Knicks decide, right? When they're scouting him, personally up front. And now I have not heard that they interviewed him. Another thing y'all got to keep in mind, and that's what I look at almost every day. Who have the Knicks interviewed? Who have they brought in for an interview? Who have they worked out? So they have interviewed Trey Murphy. They've interviewed Deuce McBride. They've interviewed, the kid from Florida State. They've interviewed Scotty Barnes. They've interviewed a lot of guys, but they did not interview Sharife. And I have not heard them call him for a workout. Now, it's not over yet. They're still doing these things, but that's what you look for. They're not going to draft anybody they don't interview or work out. I can tell you that right now. If they don't interview or work out somebody, they're not drafting. They're always going to draft somebody they interview or work out. Now, of course, they interviewed Jared Butler. They could not work him out because of the medical situation. They interviewed Jared Butler. They interviewed Trey Mann. I mentioned it, and I didn't get the word, but I believe because Duarte pulled out of the combine, they probably interviewed him beforehand. They probably did. So that's what I'm talking about. They interviewed Bouknight. Right, they interviewed Bouknight. So there's some players that they've interviewed, and that's going to give you an idea of who they're going to draft. I haven't heard them interview Sharife. If you have, please let me know. Show me that link. If they've interviewed Sharife, let me know. But again, I would not have a problem with them, drafting Sharife. I see he's mocked to us. Everybody's trying to put him on the Knicks, but if they draft him, I have no problem with that. Please, to me, what's going to make me be disappointed is if they draft a 4 or 5. I don't want to see the Knicks drafting no 4s and 5s. We need wings. I would like them to pick one good point guard, whether it's Sharife or whoever, and then pick a bunch of wings and see what sticks from the wings, because we need wings, y'all. See, and there's a lot of, like I said, there's a lot of good wings out here, man. I mean, shoot, there's just so many out here that you could get. I mean, when you're talking about wings, you're talking about players that are now, Jonathan Kuminga, Jalen Green, Jalen Johnson, Corey Crispin, Franz Wagner, Moses Moody, Bouknight, Keon Johnson, Duarte, Zaire Williams, Trey Murphy III, Josh Christopher. I'm not high on BJ Boston. I'm not. Just going to be honest with you. Scotty Lewis. I mean, there's a lot of guys out here, y'all. There's Bones, Highland, Quentin Grimes. There's a tremendous amount of wings out here. So I would try to pick two. If you're going to have 3 picks, pick two. If you're going to have 4 picks, pick three. Get us a good point guard and 3 wings. And let's see what we can get. If we can find us a superstar in them wings. All right. But anyway, that's Sharife Cooper. Again, I'm not going to be crying if they drafted him. I believe he's going to make the NBA and do a good job, depending on how he develops the things we talked about. But there's definite possibilities with him. So please, hopefully, I satisfied the Sharife Cooper itch in Knicks Nation, because a lot of y'all been asking me about him. Here you go. Please have a safe day. Shalom.